to throw out my entire fragrance collection, nearly 2,000 bottles, and just keep 10, these are the ones I'd save. First up, I would start with the signature scent, which for me would be a toss-up between Burberry Touch and Kilian's Black Phantom. And since I'm filming this video in the winter, then I'm clearly going with Kilian's Black Phantom. Over the years, I feel like my name has been synonymous with a few fragrances, and this happens to be one of them. It's coffee, rum, caramel, cacao, and sandalwood. It's a thick, ambery vanilla fragrance that kind of sits in a class of its own. Now, in terms of signature scent, it's not the most ideal scent, but I think it's a fragrance that makes a statement. And for me, I'd rather have a fragrance that moves people than be seasonally correct. Next, I would need a fragrance that can handle the dog days of summer here in Texas. And Louis Vuitton's imagination fits that bill just right. It's citrus, ginger, neroli. And to me, it smells like money, but when money takes a vacation. It also almost feels like it has that quiet luxury type of vibe, which isn't what most people think of when they think about Louis Vuitton. It kind of smells like you're rocking your white, crisp linens on the beach with your toes out. Now, if I got a summer fragrance, then of course, I need a winter fragrance. As you might imagine, over the years, I've smelled hundreds of boozy fragrances. And out of all of them, Kilian's Angel Share really kind of changed the way I define warmth. This fragrance is cinnamon and a cognac swirl. This smells like a grown man apple pie dipped in a little bit of cognac. But somehow it still wears classy and feels pretty intimate. This happens to be one of the few bottles that have stopped me mid-step when I originally smelled it. It's sexy, it's sweet, it's warm, and it's perfect for colder weather or hot, steamy one-on-one conversation. Another staple happens to be the office fragrance, and for that, I'm reaching for Unwatched Purpose 50. There's clean, and then there's Purpose 50 clean. Now, when I'm talking about fragrances, I don't throw words like flawless around pretty often, but this is one of the most balanced and dignified fragrances I've ever come across. Imagine sandalwood polished to perfection, smoky incense that never turned harsh, and just a pinch of desert spice in the air. This is not just showered clean. This is intentional, ironed, tailored, crisp shirt clean. You know, the one that gives you some real presence. This is the kind of fragrance that sits well with a suit, but it also works extremely well with a t-shirt and some jeans. With this fragrance, people might say you smell good, or they might also say you smell pretty put together. I've literally had people chase me down rocking this fragrance, wanting to know what it was. And I kind of dig that. Yes, it's a more expensive fragrance, but over the time wearing this scent, I definitely think it's worth it. And at the rate that I'm rocking this fragrance, I'm definitely gonna need another bottle, which is rare. If you could only wear one fragrance to every meeting, pitch, or power discussion, you gotta make it that one. Now, at this point, I feel like this list represents some of B's greatest hits. And for our date night closer, we got another one. But this one is a little different. The fragrance that we're talking about comes from Maison Crivelli, and this one is Hibiscus Mahajad. Now, when I wear this fragrance, I don't just wear it to smell good. I kind of wear it to create a moment. This is one of those fragrances that walks in and announces itself a little bit before you do. It kind of checks the scene and makes sure things are going okay. Puts the temperature in place. This fragrance is red velvet and candlelights. It's whispers across the table. And it's that second glance when you think she's not looking anymore. Now, the hibiscus in here is lush and loud. It ain't soft, not at all. But it's also not sweet. It kind of feels like this nice floral that's budding under pressure. And then there's some rose here, and I'm talking about real rose. Not that powdery grandma-like rose. This one's alive and well. And then there's some vanilla here in the dry down, and when you spray this fragrance, it just pops and hums off your skin. Now, early on in my fragrance days, I used to think that florals were too feminine for men. And honestly, this is one of those fragrances that kind of helped change that. It's powerful, it's romantic, and it's probably unlike most fragrances that you're gonna smell on another man, which is exactly the point. Okay, so I have a confession. I don't usually do gym scents because my gym is at my house. But if I did, it would be this one, and this is one I reach for even on my off days. The fragrance that we're talking about comes from Versace, and this one is Versace's Eros Energy. Versace Eros Energy is like they took that original Eros DNA, hit the reset on it, and made it a bit lighter, fresher, and a little sharper. Now, it's still got that signature apple and mint vibe. Here, it feels a little watered down and not particularly syrupy. When you spray this one on, it kind of feels like a jolt of energy. It's like a cold shower before a run. Oh yeah, that's good. Although this fragrance is energizing, it's not particularly loud, so you won't have to worry about it setting off a lunk alarm. But it does make it smell like you care, even if you're just getting some reps in. I've worn this post-shower, pre-coffee, on Saturday morning drives with the fam in my sweats, and in any situation, it just still smells good. This fragrance is money, and one that I think is good to remain in your gym bag. Now next, I gotta get into a compliment magnet, which is kind of weird because compliments are my thing, and I've kind of stacked my list with fragrances that are gonna be compliment worthy. But if I had to get in my compliment bag, and it's not one of the ones we already talked about, then if you've been here for a while, you already know how I'm coming. The fragrance I'm grabbing comes from the house of Byron Parfums, and this one is Mula Mula. It's money, y'all. Mula Mula is the kind of fragrance that makes people ask questions. Like, what do you wear? Why do you smell so good? And where can I pick up a bottle? And then you say, you never know. This fragrance has this sweet, sticky peach. It also has this burnt sugar opening. It smells sweet, but it's not too soft. This fragrance packs a punch. It even has a decent atomizer. Look at that. Yeah, take that. Take that. You get a spray. You get a spray. Oh yeah. Fragrance is special. But look, what happens after that is you get some spice, and that spice just adds some depth to this scent, and it just ends up giving it some extra body. I've had people remember this fragrance for weeks after I've worn it. Clings to your clothes, it livens up spaces, and if you're the type of person who is kinda like me and wants to be remembered by your scent and maybe your scent alone, this is one of those fragrances that could do it hands down. But if you're not just looking for compliments, if you want something that might just smell like you, even if no one else understands it, keep watching because that one's on the way. The next fragrance I need is a reliable dumb reach. Listen, I've got niche, I've got wild stuff, but if I had to grab something blindfold with one arm behind my back or my Toucan Sam follow your nose and still know I smell amazing, then of course I'm going with my road dog, Burberry Touch. Look, there's something in Burberry Touch that just keeps me grounded. It's woody, it's musky, it's aromatic, and it's also airy and powdery and a touch of spice. It's not too loud. It's just everything about this fragrance just works. It's kind of like a perfectly broken in hoodie. It just feels right in the moment. Over the years, I've worn this fragrance on grocery runs. I've worn it on nights out with the missus. Hell, even first dates early on. Family events, you name it, this fragrance has been clutch. It just fits in everywhere. And the best part, at least to me, is that it doesn't get old. Consistently, over the past 10 years, I've had a bottle of Burberry Touch in my rotation. And I still find myself reaching for it from time to time like it's brand new. Look, at any rate, I think being reliable is underrated, and Burberry Touch is a prime example of that. Next, I want to talk about luxury. Not hype, not popularity. I'm talking about a fragrance that smells like it was intentionally designed. And Blonde Amber by Clive Christian is elegance at every step of the way. It's warm, yes. It's amber, vanilla, and soft woods. But there's also this refined, dry spice. And also some powdery resins that kind of make it feel sensual, like your body's being wrapped in silk. It's not overly loud, it's not overly sweet, but I don't think it needs to be. This is the fragrance equivalent of letting the valet park your car up front. You wear this one when it matters. Weddings, milestones, anniversaries, celebrations, or those nights when you gotta remind yourself and them who you are. And honestly, it's reasons like that why I kind of keep this fragrance locked away for everyday use. Like I have access to it, but when I want to grab it, I kind of do a double take. Because personally, I believe this fragrance really deserves a ceremony. And then if I'm going for a wild card pick, then I'm thinking about a fragrance brand and a fragrance that's really going to stay in line to what I got. And the fragrance that I'm talking about comes from Savoir Faire, and this one is Soul Cafe. Now, what I think I like about Savoir Faire, more specifically Soul Soul Cafe is that this fragrance wasn't built for compliments. Rather, it was built for connection, and just by the power of proximity, compliments happen. This is a scent of intimacy, kind of stripped down to breath, skin, desire. And if I have to say so myself, the opening is fire. It's a blend of tobacco, bergamot, and black pepper. But then it pulls in some coffee. But it's not cafe sweet. It's kind of dark, roasty, and rich. Kind of like the kind you just slowly sip. As it dries down, the oud and firewood creep up, and it just smells personal. Wear this when you don't plan on asking for permission for anything. This is one of those fragrances that you wear when you kind of fully show up as yourself. Wholeheartedly, stripped down as just you. It's just something about Soul Cafe fragrances, specifically in their new bottles as well, that just feels like there's a story to be told. Every time I wear it, I just feel like I'm stepping into a memory that hasn't happened yet, but it's on the way. It's on the way. This fragrance is about wearing something that feels like you, even if no one else can relate. For me, Soul Cafe is a reminder that your best fragrance is not always the most popular scent, or even the loudest scent. It's oftentimes about the most honest scent. And if I'm being honest, this collection of fragrances is pretty goated. So now I want to hear from you. If you could only keep one fragrance, just one, what's staying on your shelf? If you need help deciding, click here because YouTube thinks it'll help.